Welcome in, everyone. This is a special edition of the Daily Night, as you can see up on the screen there next to Mark, who's my guest tonight, Mr. Mark Henry from Prep Red Zone. It is actually a combination of the FGA report and the Daily Night because Mark and I have been covering high school football here in the state of Texas, where I am. I'm going to get ready to head back to Florida in the morning, but we're kind of merging some things. We're going to talk about some of the prospects here, and Team Tampa came up from Florida, kind of a combination of the talent from both areas and what it means for UCF and other schools that are now recruiting Texas with the Big 12, getting ready to go through a little shift. So we're going to do that on the back end. But Mark, thank you very much for coming on the show. You work with Prep Red Zone. You work with DR Sportz like I do. And, man, I tell you what, it was an impressive tournament. 15U was really loaded. 18U was a wide variety and some kids that were surprises, which we'll talk about. But first off, thank you for coming on the show. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great, man. That's what I do: eat, sleep, love football, just like yourself. Seeing these guys up close is personal. Talking to them, speaking with the coaches, is kind of what you do at a 7-on-7 event. And I will say this one, the showdown in D-Town was probably, and we spoke about this a little bit off camera, and throughout the weekend, I think it was probably the most talent heavy from, I would say, starting at 14U, but definitely from 15U up, which is the high school ranks, and guys that are about to fire the high school nights on Fridays here in the near future in the next 2 years. They were there. They were cooking. Lots of things to talk about. Lots of guys, like you say before on every show, so many guys that you're just going to miss guys just because you can't see everybody. But, I mean, a magnitude of talent, some guys that really set themselves apart from my standpoint, and a couple of guys that we'll talk about from your neck of the woods once we get to that I've seen probably 3 times at least, starting in Orlando, Plant City last week, and then they traveled to Texas because they wanted to get that smoke as well, as the kids call it now. But definitely high talent. Even Brian, we had some college coaches kind of hovering around this particular weekend in the Metroplex because there were several visits and stuff. People were going around. You got several colleges in the Metroplex area, Big 12 country as well, Conference USA country. So you have a great following with UCF and the Knights coming to the Big 12. So definitely a hotbed for recruiting, definitely in the Metroplex and just really in Texas in general.
Well, the first kid is the perfect segue from what you just said. UCF was his first offer. You actually sent me the tweet about an hour ago, maybe even 40 minutes ago. I didn't realize it. But this young, I'm going to let you explain him, and I saw him some too. But it just kind of shows you the depth of the talent in Dallas, because the team that won the tournament today, they've got a funky name and all this, their premise is we're going to take the kids that are kind of on the precipice of just like, we're going to get there, but these kids are motivated. This is how we're going to win. They got a few kids, they got a couple of offers, but they don't like Team Tampa's got a bunch of guys that are, they're going to the SEC.
Absolutely.
They're going to the SEC or Texas or whatever.
Right.
The team that actually, and they beat both the Team Tampa teams in the 18U, ironically. I mean, they had a bunch of guys that were good, but they were just more hungry, in my opinion, and they just wanted it more. They won 2 close games against both the Team Tampa teams. And the leader is the guy, I'm just going to let you talk about him, but it's a great story. I like seeing these in 7-on-7. It's one of the unique parts of it that doesn't get enough play. So, Mark, go ahead and talk about our receiver.
Jaren Wallace, he goes to high school, Denton Braswell High School, that's in the Metroplex. We're talking about a guy that's about 6'4", 190 pounds. I sent that to you because, UCF's already been dipping in the Kool-Aid a little bit and some of the Texas flavor, and they tend to do that. That's one thing I can say about UCF is they're not afraid to expand their horizons on the recruiting trail. But Wallace was just he was the reason that they kind of closed the deal today against Team Tampa. Oh, I'm sorry, he did play against Team Tampa. That was in the semis. but they played against STE, South
That's right.
Texas Elite, which is a great team. And from the receiver standpoint, he played against some elite talent on the defensive back scale, but he was just at another speed. Quick twitch guy, but at 6'4", 190, he can get down the field. He broke down coverages with ease underneath. He used his body to shade defenders off of him to make the catch, high point catches, ran every route you can imagine on the route tree. And this guy, I saw him do it on Friday nights for Braswell, as I happened to call a couple of his games. But he got on my radar this offseason up in Tulsa at a tournament in Broken Arrow, and I spotlighted him and talked to him then. So when I saw him today, I just knew. I said, hey, that's a guy that you want to watch. But big catch radius, big wingspan. The size at 6'4", and he's already 190 pounds. When he gets to college, he's probably going to be 210 at least. Yeah. Once he gets into a regiment college program, he'll be 210 easily and be able to still run and move like he is now.
I was surprised at how well he would change direction, like run a curl route or a comeback, something like that, where you really got to plant and you go back the other direction, like 140 degree and just downhill. He didn't catch every ball and he wasn't perfect after the catch or this or that, but he was an effective player and he's their go-to guy and everybody knew it. And he did it against guys that quite frankly had more offers than him. Note to self, please reevaluate again, check out his film and see what's going on, because I'm curious why he didn't have more. I don't know if that program just doesn't promote their kids or what do you think that is? Because he's good.
No, I spoke to him in Oklahoma. This was his first full season in Texas. He's from Georgia originally. I think around the Atlanta area, his family moved to Denton, Texas last year, before the season. I want to say spring or summer he moved in. This was his first full year in Texas, so it's kind of a change of venue, if you will. And then, with him being a 23, that probably took him off of the radar for coaches that come in to that area and say, well, where's this guy gone? Well, they have to kind of pick up the crumbs and trail him to come to Braswell, which, I was talking to you earlier this afternoon, is a 6A program. They play against Geyer, Prosper, and that's, a big 6A district there. So he played against heavy competition. You got a chance to see Peyton and Eli Bowen when you came to Texas to see Geyer. They were in his district. So if that tells you the kind of competition that he was competing against on Friday nights, now he's, coming full circle, had a little bit more time in the offseason to kind of refine his craft. And it's on display right in front of you at a 7-on-7 event. And that's the key, and that's the advantage to playing 7-on-7 is guys like us are floating around. We write about these things, and they get picked up on the radar, on the recruiting 100%. Radar. He's already got several offers, North Texas, Colorado, UCF, West Virginia, UTSA, which was undefeated for a while down in Conference USA and had a big bowl win. Texas San Antonio is a program that's on the upswing as well, just like UCF is. They're on the verge of going to the Big 12, so why not dip in the Kool-Aid, like I said, a little bit and reach out to this kid who may be a little bit under the radar nationally, but down in these parts, he's a man that you'll need to know on Friday nights.
I love that kind of story where luckily for him, he didn't move to somewhere that's, outside the realm. Denton is about as talent-laden a city as there is in the country. Ryan and Geyer are good. And then Braswell, I guess that's just a suburban Denton area or whatever. But I know.
It's in Denton County. You got Braswell, Geyer, Ryan, and then Denton High. You got Lake Dallas also that's kind of right in that area as well. So these particular guys, you could throw a quarter on any corner in there and find Division I talent. You just have to go over there and see them on Friday nights. And, this is where a thing like the, University of North Texas is right there, and they're kind of missing on some of these guys sometimes.
That's what I heard.
Right. And that's a whole nother show. Right. That's a whole nother show and a whole another thing about, missing somebody in your backyard. But I definitely think that, if guys are really doing their due diligence and research and getting out to see the talent, that this guy's a guy. You're talking about a guy that right now that's pretty lean, long, and athletic now, and he hasn't really honed in as far as maturity. He's still growing. When I say maturity, these guys mature until they're like 21 years old or ready to be draft eligible. This guy's ready to come in and play for you right now as a freshman, I believe. In spot duty, once he learns a system, gets comfortable, gets a good quarterback to kind of train him up, and get in that weight room and get in a serious college program. Like I said, he's easily 205 by the time he's a sophomore.
Well, those are the kinds of kids that, whether it's UCF or anybody else for that matter, if you're going to come to Texas, you need guys that are really going to, quote unquote, make a difference for you. And I don't see how that guy's not going to make a difference wherever he goes. And now that UCF is going into the Big 12, they're an easier pick for him. But you have to recruit those kind of kids, those versatile athletes, because he could probably play safety or something for you too.
Absolutely. I believe so. Like I said, with a guy that's that rangy, you can put 15 pounds of muscle on him, continue to work on his speed, and then he is a downhill safety coming down. A free safety that has the range because he already has the speed to get north and south. But you mentioned him being able to get loose a little bit in those secondaries, and definitely Team Tampa definitely has a secondary that can compete with anybody in the country. And for this guy to be able to get open on two of those teams says something about his skill level and his ability, as well as his IQ and his ability to, have the contested 50-50 balls. Did it all that in the championship game against ST. He put on a clinic.
I think that pretty well summarizes it. He was the difference on why they won. That's the easiest answer to supply people with. They won because he was the best player.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Team Tampa, there's a safety they have that you like that is definitely kind of under the radar. I spoke to him a little bit. I know you did. And Andy is a kid that goes to Clearwater Central Catholic. It's in the area where I live, just across the bridge from Tampa. CCC, as we commonly call it, is a tradition-rich program. He's a disciplined kid. He has foot speed, etc. Talk to everybody a little bit about Andy and what you saw from him the last time and as well as this weekend.
Well, I noticed Andy the first time when I got a chance to see Team Tampa for the first time in Orlando, and then the Plant City tournament. He was a difference maker all weekend. Very twitchy. He's very rangy. They use him kind of in a cover two situation. Then when they get on the goal line, he walks down and he becomes a nickel corner. We're talking about a guy that's about 6'1", 180. Real compact frame right now. So he has the safety look, even when he just kind of walks around. You kind of gauge these guys when they're warming up. As we talked about another kid that we liked from Showtime All-Stars a couple of weeks ago, and Amari Francois, I believe. He passes the eye test a little bit. And then he also hops on the offensive side. If you check his tape, I had a chance to go through his Twitter a little bit this weekend. He can hop on the offensive side. I spoke with him on Saturday, and he thought he'd play some offense this weekend. But they faced some better talent this week, I think, as a group. We're talking about the high school group, not just in Florida. I mean, I think in Florida, for the tournament in Plant City, we kind of knew, okay, these four teams are going to be there at the end, with two possibly going neck and neck again because they're just a better talent in that area. Well, this time, we had these sleeper teams that kind of muddied it up a little bit, and guys really got after it. Today it always turns up a notch on championship day, as you can see. Pool plays, everybody's kind of cool, kind of figuring it out, but it turns up another level on championship day. But I really like Andy. Long arms, just a real skilled guy for a class of 2024. And that says that he's still got room to grow because he's so young. You gotta give that time. The understanding of development is what you want when you project guys for the next level. And he's got the chance to develop. And if he grows a couple more inches, and let's say he puts on 20 pounds, we're talking about a guy that can be a hybrid linebacker for you.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
Right. And that's why I said, why not? He's already about 6'1", and very rangy and lengthwise, he's got it already. So we're talking about a guy that could transition to be a tweener. Depends on where he, right now he's projecting to me at the next level. He'll probably stay on the defensive side because I think he just he's instinctually a defensive player. I didn't have a chance to see a lot of him on offense, but he has a nose for that and a knack to pass deflections and just closing those windows that you want those safeties to do. So you put that together with a decent tape, on Friday nights, and like I said, this is why I like to have a chance to talk to Coach Ricardo, one of the coaches for Team Tampa on Saturday as we were, watching the games. And, I asked about Andy and he kind of said the same thing. Very smart kid, very cerebral, and understands where he needs to be on his assignments as well. To go along with some great athleticism, this guy's going to be on the map, definitely. And then Brian, UCF's already on him, Duke, and as well as Toledo. So as he continues to mature, look for his stock to rise as well.
I think it's one of those deals where he just needs to get bigger. People
Absolutely.
probably won't offer him. There's going to be recruiting for a little while because he's still thin. But as you noted, he has 2 years of high school, not one.
Right.
So in a year, I bet he looks different. I mean, it's just part of physical maturity. So
absolutely
good for Andy. Andy Jaff, he's, again, Clearwater Central Catholic. The third kid that you sent it's ironic because it's one of the kids I was going to highlight as well. Quiet kid, doesn't say boo, but man, can he run. Eugene Wilson, bro, has he got some jets.
He's got another gear. Eugene Wilson III is ready to play on Saturdays now, just because, first of all, he understands how to get open, when he needs to get open based on the concepts that they're running, but he's explosive with it, and he's got the jets to get deep, and he doesn't drop balls. Anything you throw in his vicinity, he's very sticky with his hands, catches the ball away from his body. You got the catch radius that you need for that particular slot receiver at the collegiate level. Right now he's 5'11", about 165, 170 pounds, and he's got all the offers that you want to see from Power 5 schools. Georgia, Florida, Penn State's on him, South Carolina, Oregon. Now, for Oregon to come down and reach for you in a hotbed of talent in Florida, that's saying something. That means that they're doing their due diligence. And a guy like that fits in the Oregon scheme of things as to where they've been running offenses at Oregon for the last 10 years or so. Heavy tempo. You can go all the way back to the Marcus Mariota days. These guys, they're up tempo. He fits that mold. He fits that slot receiver. Go get it. And then he has a no fear kind of complex you can see to his game. He catches it in traffic. I saw it this weekend. I saw it in Plant City. But this weekend, he really just kind of jumped off to me. And we had several conversations, and I had a chance to catch up with him and do an interview with him and just talk to him after they went 4-0 in pool play and played some of the best competition on Saturday that you could see. Like right out of the gate, Team Tampa was up against the defense as far as talent-wise. Some of the best teams from the state of Texas, and also played a team that was very impressive from New Mexico that I had never seen. But, I was very impressed with Wilson III, just all around a clutch player too, clutch catches. And then he's playing with some other guys that are on his level, and he's one guy that's just standing out. He just has that knack. He has that it factor that you want on a next level receiver.
It's ironic, again, that you mentioned him because, I'm friends with pretty much everybody on Team Tampa's offense I've known. Their offense, literally, just to put things in perspective. I looked across today, and they were missing a guy. All 5 of their receivers are Power 5, and their running back is Power 5.
Yes. I could talk about Jacquez Smith as well. He's one of the guys that I wanted to talk to. And we kind of met or talked on Twitter this week, and I followed and watched his film. Listen, if you are sleeping on a guy like this, then you're just not trying to. Looking at the measurables, okay? Everybody sees the eye factor. Right. But we're talking about a compact and a powerful build as you can see at the running back position. He fits next level running back. He can catch the ball, sure hands, quick, in space. Now, the only thing that he didn't, might not possess is that, and I was talking to Coach Ricardo about this as well. He may not have that 10-6 or, that 100-meter speed that you want on a burner. But if he gets loose, I watched his tape this week, Brian, and he never got caught from behind. So
they won 6A state championship because of him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You can feed him the rock. He can run 10 to 20 times. He can catch it, screens. He's got the hands. He proves that at 7-on-7. He lines up in the slot and he dominates just as well as anybody else on his team. And then, what I really like about it, and I have a thing about running backs that I like, that short, compact build. He's kind of comparison to a Maurice Jones-Drew type of guy that can
That's a good
just go
comparison.
north and south. Yeah, I mean, almost like this will date me a little bit, but you'll remember Eric Bieniemy, who's the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. That
Play
same type
Colorado.
of body style. Absolutely, I was a big Colorado fan back in the day. Darian Hagan and those guys. Even going up back to Cordell Stewart a little bit later, but that's the type of running back that you're getting with that. The kid that came out of LSU a couple years ago that's playing for the Chiefs.
That's
Same type of build.
That's the guy I
Same
thought
type of build. Yeah. I mean, same type of build, same type of go, switching gears and everything. Smith's got it. I became a real big fan of him and had a chance to talk to him a little bit this weekend. But if that was a guy that I was going to spotlight, but we kind of didn't have a chance. Everything was kind of short at the end of the Plant City thing, a tournament. But Smith, I definitely got on my radar. Temple, he just picked up a Temple offer last week. It's been Buffalo's been on him, but that says about the talent level in that part of Florida, or just Florida in general, that these colleges dip down in that area. But a kid like this is not going to be on U of M, Florida State, or the University of Florida just because they're looking at the size and the measurables. But
I don't think UCF's offered him either.
This is a kid that you definitely need to take a strong look at. And he could come in and play for you. Let's say, you redshirt him, give him a chance to get acclimated to the college life, and come in and, he have 10 touchdowns, 5 receiving, 5 rushing, and be a contributor. And it may even be able to return kicks just because he's that twitchy in space. Love Jacquez Smith, one of my favorite players, from Team Tampa.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With that, it's a good segue moment. Team Tampa is something I've talked about on my site, Inside the Nights, on Fan Nation, powered by Sports Illustrated, multiple times. I just did a feature on them. It's on the website now. If you want to know what it's like to operate a major 7-on-7 organization, Team Tampa has had more guys go to the NFL than any other 7-on-7, literally. With that, it's in there. And Jacquez is an example. He plays at Jesuit, which is around the corner from my house in Tampa. And that program breeds out kids that they live it, they breathe it, they smell it, they just enjoy football. And so when I heard they were going to Texas, and I'd already set it up with Mumphrey to come up here to Dallas, I'm like, oh, now we're going to get to see something because, Texas Florida kid, it's, 6 one way, half dozen the other. But the attitude, how you go about business and all that, Texas and Florida are somewhat different. I thought it was pretty unique. And speaking of Florida coming to Texas, UCF is going to be coming. And one of the reasons I think this benefits them when they're moving into the Big 12 is the fact that the state of Florida, the one thing that it traditionally, this is a very key word here, does not produce a lot of is quarterback. The kid that I scout, and I just put up an article, this is the other article I put up, Kelton Ryan is only a freshman, and I would take him right now. I would take him right now. He sent me a message a little bit ago. He goes, hey, thanks for the article. And I said, you know what, I'm curious, what did you run for last year? And that's all I asked. And it was like 414 yards or whatever. But he said, I split time with the senior. And I thought 2 things right away. Number one, they were probably afraid to start a true freshman because it might have been too big for him. And number 2, they were probably 10 times more worried that if he started, the locker room would not be happy. That's you know how that goes with
absolutely.
My buddy's not getting his chance and all. Kelton Ryan is a stud. He was throwing the ball just over the linebacker in front of the safety. He was throwing it into the wind on out patterns, and he's 15 years old. And from what you told me and from what he also told me, he's a runner as well. He had over 400 yards rushing last year in part-time duty. These are the kinds of kids that fit what every program's running because he can run a spread offense. UCF doesn't get that many kids out of Florida that can really play quarterback. Now, it is improving. The younger classes, like 25 class, you and I both love Colin Hurley. I'll take him over anybody. But Ryan's right there. I mean, he's in that vernacular. So
Absolutely.
this is why I think UCF going to the Big 12 is being underrated. They're always going to get Florida kids. But now, if let's just mathematically and hypothetically say you give them their Florida kids, but you add 2 kids a year from the state of Texas, especially if you can get a quarterback every other year from Texas to throw to those Florida receivers and running backs like Jacquez Smith and guys like that, now we're cooking with gas. Okay, this is going to be something different. So what I wanted to do is, Mark, kind of give you the chance to talk about. You're a Houston area guy that now lives in Dallas. You've seen both sides of the fence. What do you think the advantage of UCF recruiting in the state of Texas would be?
Well, I think it'll be huge because they've already dipped in the state of Texas in the past, for some skill positions.
Yes.
I think that you can't beat Texas as far as the talent that we put out at the quarterback position. I'll just take the Elite 11, which was this past weekend. The weekend before here, they had the Dallas Regional. You got Jackson Arnold, who's an Oklahoma pledge out of Denton Guyer High School, and you have Novosad from down in Dripping Springs, Austin Novosad, who's a Baylor commit. Those two punched their tickets to the Elite 11 finals. And you can talk about Cade Klubnik. You can talk about the rich tradition that quarterbacks have here in the state of Texas. Kyler Murray, RG3, Robert Griffin III. You can even go back to Colt McCoy and Vince Young. Me being a UT guy, those guys, we've always been good at UT when we were quarterback centric and quarterback driven. And those two guys, are still, Colt McCoy is still playing in the NFL, and Vince Young had his stint in the NFL as well. But I would say that Texas just breeds that type of player. And then you spoke of Ryan. I saw him. I met him when he was like in the 7th or 8th grade playing for the Young Bulls. And, I kind of brought him to your attention when we got to the first
I remember
Houston.
that.
I was like, hey, you need to check this guy out. But the
I
film
remember
doesn't
that.
lie. The film doesn't lie. He reminds me of Robert Griffin III, when he was in high school. Just that big arm, the ability to escape pressure and take it the distance. Now, I'm not sure, if he's a track guy yet or he's running track, but, I was talking to you this afternoon. He's at Keller Central High School, which is a 6A program here in the DFW area. You got several schools. You got Keller High, Keller Central, Fossil Ridge. You got Hazlitt Eaton that's in that area, and then you got the big bad South Carroll Dragons that right down the street from who he would routinely play in a district game. So he'll be exposed to top flight talent on Friday nights, but now he's doing it against top flight talent in the 7-on-7 sense. When he's heading to his sophomore year, he's going to already have eyes on him now because he's getting a chance to read defenses at elite level and get rid of the ball in 4 seconds where he doesn't have a line in front of him. So now that clock's going to be steering in his head. Right now, I need to get rid of the ball. If this doesn't work, he's a read option guy that can definitely get around the corner and make a couple of guys miss and take it to the house. This is the type of quarterback that you want to see on the next level. He's still going to have some grooming and maturity to go, but right now he's starting to fill out. He's got the frame. He's like hovering around 6'1". He's starting to get muscled up. I've seen him the last 2 years on the 7-on-7 circuit, and when he was a young pup. Now he's starting to take his game to the next level, and he's opening eyes week to week for the young Bulls. That's who he plays with in the 7-on-7 circuit. But when he gets back to Keller Central, this spring, he's definitely going to have some more eyes on him, and he's going to be the man, like you said, experiencing the varsity level, splitting time with a senior. So he got his feet wet a little bit. So now it won't be, the big deer in the headlights or the big Friday night lights because, here in Texas, as you saw the stadium in Plano ISD today, those stadiums get packed. We're talking about 10,000 people when the playoff comes, and then on Friday nights, he's already, hip to that or already experienced. So you have a signal caller like that and you see him come up through the ranks. I think he definitely will be Elite 11 type caliber quarterback before he finishes up his high school career.
That's what I was really kind of expecting you to say because if you can get quarterback play, you mentioned Texas, you can insert the name of the institution and put, hey, we've got a quarterback, and I'll show you a team with a winning record. The
Absolutely.
way the game is set up, from the rules, how it's coached, how it's practiced, and how these kids, even during the summer, like college coaches aren't with their college players in the summer, but they run 7-on-7. And they just do, they kind of run their plays based on that. They don't have blocking, but they go through it. And the best thing about it is this: they gain from it. And that's what this kid's doing, and what you and I go and see every weekend somewhere: Dallas, Houston, Shreveport. It could be Atlanta. It could be anywhere in between. We'll be in Naples in a few months. It's all over the place. They get better at it. But the state of Texas and quarterback has been good for, I can't remember when it wasn't good, to be really honest. It was when Mac Brown got there.
Yeah. I would say
right into there.
I would say also the institute or the insertion of the spread offense here in Texas, which, back in the days of Darrell Royal, it was all wishbone and those guys.
They got rid of all that in Texas.
They got rid of all that. Well, in the Mike Leach days and the air raid days, they kind of brought that in. Or even you can go back to the run and shoot days, David Klingler and Andre Ware. That was kind of
Ware won it in '89, didn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, on probation. Me being a Houston area guy, I was front and center for those Astrodome games.
Dude, he was badass.
He was slinging it. And
he could run around and make plays too, boy.
Now, in the state of Texas, that mold has been broken, and that's kind of, you can go anywhere now and get a spread offense. If you have a strong quarterback and you can put several pieces around it, we're talking about you going to the playoffs. Now, we're not talking about winning state, but you can have a playoff caliber team depending on the strength of your district, where you live, in the state of Texas. But we'll just take the Metroplex, for example, since that's, where a lot of my coverage is. You can go and get to the playoffs with a strong quarterback play. And then, anything happens on Friday nights in the playoffs, you have to, make certain plays and get certain matchups. And, it breaks out to everything here is based on enrollment when it comes to the seeding. 6A and 5A are broken into divisions 1 and division 2, all the way down to 2A. And so, the state of Texas has quarterbacks galore. We just talked about a guy that was in the state of Florida that's now in Incarnate Word. G.J. Kinney was a great quarterback in East Texas, coming out of Gilmer, Texas, when he was in high school in a spread-based offense. So now he's teaching that at the collegiate level. And those are the type of the guys that you're going to fit in. And when it goes into quarterback play now, you don't necessarily have to be the big 6'5", 220, drop back quarterback now. You can be under the radar 5'11" to 6'1", but you got a cannon and you spreading these guys out, and you have a next level chance to play now. I.e. Johnny Manziel, Drew Brees. The list is thick when it comes to Texas quarterbacks. And we're talking about guys that are playing in the NFL now that had their roots here in Texas.
Well, I think that kind of summarizes it well. You can always get a receiver, like their 2 stud receivers are from Texas.
Yes.
Jalen is, and so's Ryan. Ryan O'Keefe is from the Austin area, and then Jalen's from your neck of the woods. He's a Fort Worth
Absolutely. He was trained.
I had to get that in.
Absolutely. I had to see him when he was in high school. One of his good trainers, Margin Hooks from Sky's the Limit, who trains a lot of these guys in the area and professionally and collegiately. Jay was a man in high school, and you can see some of the big plays that he's made in the last couple of years. I think last year he was injured a little bit, but when he got there as a freshman, his star was bright, and he was making plays, and they were noticing him, starting to get, draft looking at this guy coming out. But, in high school, he was just a man among boys. Speed, hands, very sticky, but so twitchy in space that you just can't cover him one-on-one. And that he's doing that on a big time level at UCF. He's producing, which says that for also the IQ of a Texas high school athlete. And Brian, this from being on the recruiting trail. It's the reason that recruiters come to Texas. Look at some of these guys. I hate to bag on this, but we letting our guys go and get to other programs because we can't keep them in state. But UCF is going to be front and center when they get to the Big 12. They'll have a chance to play in front of some of these guys and bring them in a little bit and say, hey, we're going to give you everything right here in the state of Florida. And you also have a chance to still play at home, but also develop yourself into being draft eligible as well if you fit the mold and you continue to mature, stay injury free, which all of those things go into a collegiate career when we talk about going to play professionally.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Baylor, Texas Tech, TCU, and Houston are all going to be in there. I know A&M is gone already. Texas is leaving. But just those. Plus, you're going to play Oak State, BYU. You're going to play Iowa State, Kansas State. They all recruit Texas. It's going to be part of the culture. If you're playing in Waco on Saturday at 3 o'clock, your crew is going to go where you live, Fort Worth, Dallas, and watch games on Friday night.
Absolutely.
I guarantee
Absolutely.
You don't have, again, this is the key point here. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that UCF is going to bail on recruiting Florida. It's different. They're going to add, in addition to what they do at Florida, 1 to 3 is kind of the number from Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, that they'll get somebody out of there, and probably 90% of the time it'll be Texas.
Right.
So
here's the key to that and the kind of spin off of what you're saying. He's not saying that they won't recruit the top-notch guys, but these are the guys that are not getting the Texas offer, they're not getting the Notre Dame offer, that are not getting those Power 5 offers, the sleepers, but they have that particular ability and skill set to play at that level. But like you said, you touchdown in Baylor, you playing on Saturday, you can get your GAs and your scouts out right there from the Metroplex, and you're an hour from Austin, which is San Antonio, 2.5 hours. There's some sleeper talent at the quarterback position there that you definitely want to see. I can tell you one quarterback now that you may want to get on your radar from the San Antonio area, J.C. Evans, class of 2024. This kind of reminds me of Vince Young a lot. But he was a sophomore this year. I had a chance to see him in 7-on-7 last year. J.C. Evans, standing about 6'4", probably about 180. This is a guy in the San Antonio area that fits that mold too. Right now, he's under the radar, but as he continues to develop, you're going to start to hear this name ring. J.C. Evans, San Antonio High. Let me look up his high school real quick. But this is a guy that you definitely want to have on your radar. And this is one of those guys that kind of falls through the cracks just because, he's young right now in the class of 2024. But he's a guy that you definitely want to have on your radar. Brandeis, San Antonio Brandeis. I just didn't want to misquote myself, but I had a chance to see him up close and personal. Almost 6'5", 200 pounds right now, can run it, can throw it. And I had a chance to see him on a 7-on-7 circuit as a freshman. He was warming up, and I stopped over and talked to his coach. I said, what's his name? And this is how I got his information. And I've had him on my show this past year. I also have a podcast called On Your Mark Show that I do, but I've just been so busy running around the country that I haven't had a chance to do it. But J.C. Evans from Brandeis High School in San Antonio is a guy that you could get on your radar that could fit UCF tremendously in a couple of years. You'll see this name, remember me talking about him, and I'll send you a little bit more info on him, and you can take a look at him yourself. But that's the kind of quarterback and under the radar that UCF fans and that part of Florida may not be equipped or know about just because he's in Texas. But in 2 years, you'll be seeing him around Elite 11 type camps and things like that, national showcases, because he's already got the measurables. He can throw, he can run. He got his feet wet on the varsity level this year, and he's about to take another step when he goes into his junior year.
That's a great example. I mean, again, are they going to offer the kid that's a 5-star in Texas? Yes. Are they going to get him? Probably not. You're trying to keep the pillow warm in case the kid transfers more than anything else. That's my guess. But if you can take a 3-star kid that fits your system that has a high ceiling, you're going to be okay. Florida, absolutely. Texas, Louisiana, they all have kids like that. Now, again, you just need to get a couple of them. So, Well, Mark, I appreciate it, man. This is kind of fun. We had a good weekend, and
Absolutely.
we saw a lot of talent. And we'll do it again pretty soon, my friend. In a couple weeks, you'll be back down
Yes.
in my neck of woods in
Yes, sir.
Tampa,
Yes, sir.
the big championship on the east side of Tampa.
The
I'm
crown
looking
is
forward to
coming.
it. Yeah, yeah, the Crown. DR7 will be back in the state of Florida. I don't even have to get a hotel, man. I'm just going to kick it
Absolutely.
at my own place.
Yeah.
It's rolling, baby. It's rolling.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, and shout out to the city of Tampa, Tampa Bay area, man. It's a great city. This is my second year having a chance to go down there and see some of the guys in Florida. I'm starting to get my feet wet down there. Going to have to come down there during the season and get my feet wet at a Friday night game. So definitely, starting to get my road shoes and my road gear. Season now. In the state of Texas, you can travel 8 hours and still be in Texas. So a lot of times that's what happens.
Um, well, I'll invite you for this then. Washington, D.C.'s DeMatha is going to Fort Lauderdale, and they're going to play Cardinal Gibbons this fall.
Wow.
You
Okay.
want to
Very
see?
familiar with the method. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't have to say
Must
the
see
city.
TV. Must see TV.
Yeah, so
And then
DeMatha has.
about the big game here. We've spoken about this in week 3. South Oak Cliff, DeSoto. A lot of people are going to be coming into that. So on the flip side, for you to come to Texas, we've spoken about this off camera. Just in passing, that's a game that you want to see in Texas. A game that Florida recruiting definitely might want to pick up and come in because you can tap into Division I talent on both sides of the ball in those schools. It's going to be highly contested. South Oak Cliff is coming off a great state championship, and DeSoto High School is synonymous with talent. Pedigree that you have on that corridor in Dallas. We can talk about that. That's a whole nother show. So, but that's a game here. Since we're talking about games forecasting, that you would probably want to check out as a scout coming out of Florida.
All right. Thank you for the info. Well,
Absolutely.
everybody, thank you very much. Mark, stick with me here for a sec. Everybody, please like and subscribe. I enjoy doing these kind of podcasts, talking with Mark, talking about 7-on-7, recruiting, how college football's landscape is changing. We talked about all three of those on just this show. It's amazing. Once the Big 12 hits, my site will be totally different because I'll be able to cross-reference everything: Big 12 basketball, Big 12 football, Big 12 baseball. UCF's going to adapt, or they're not, or they'll get me left behind, which Gus is already doing it. I'm confident on that. But basketball and everything else, they're going to have to do that as well, and it's fascinating to me. Yeah, intercollegiate athletics changing pretty quick, and we're just a year away from like the speedometer, going off the Richter. So it's you better be ready to roll because the Big 12 is another level of talent. So for
Absolutely.
everybody out there, wish Mark a good day. I appreciate your insight, man. You know
Absolutely.
your stuff,
Anytime.
and
Anytime.
I
Just
look.
a phone call away.
Yeah, there you go. And I look forward to having you again. We'll do it once you come back a couple weeks in Tampa. There's no reason not to because obviously the talent, you already know. It's an invite deal on this one. It isn't just a lower end. This is high end. There aren't going to be any like teams that finish in the bottom 10 are going to have Power 5 kids. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just
Absolutely.
somebody got
Yeah.
to lose, Mark. Somebody got to
Yeah.
lose.
If just a little tidbit, if I'm a college expert, or I'm sending somebody to this because this is everybody that's got a paid bid. So the little backstory to the crown as far as it represents to DR7, you have to win it to get there. So everybody that's there has won a championship at all levels, which they start at the lower levels from 10, 12, 14, 15, and then on into the high school ranks. So everybody there's won. They've been a champion. Right. So when the dust settles, we're going to see who wears the crown, and that's all about.
There it is. So, all right, buddy. I appreciate it. I think this is going to be something we're going to do quite a bit of because there's a lot to talk about. Like I said, with UCF going to the Big 12 and me being in Texas a lot anyway. So, everybody have a
Absolutely.
great evening. Appreciate it. Thank you much.